Hey everyone, Nicole here with my internship presentation. I hope you enjoy it and learn a little something about taking your students outside. I did my internship at Camp Robin Hood, which is an outdoor leadership camp. They run programs for teachers and students in the fall as well as in the springtime. They're open over the summer for the public, and they run those camps from kindergarten or ages from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. My research problem initially looked at the behavioral differences from students that are how they're behaving in the classrooms to how they behave outdoors. But because I couldn't follow the students back and forth, I changed my research program and looked at specific program factors and activities that would enhance the students' engagement while they were out on those outdoor education programs. The different points below were points that I found in the research and things that I also observed in my internship. The framework I used was an action research framework. This was useful because the purpose of my internship at Camp Robin Hood was working with a director, and he had asked me to help improve the programming and maybe implement some new programs or activities and link some curricular connections to some of their programs. So I was really looking at trying to implement some new things and maybe better some of the programs they already run. So this action research framework fit really well, where I observed and I set inside a plan, and then I put that into action and again observed and saw if it worked or not. Um, it really lends itself to the teaching profession. I'm sure we use this already, maybe when we're doing classroom management. You would observe the students and then you would plan to change something in your classroom management and put that into place and see if it affected the students and observe that and reflect and see if you had to change something else with your classroom management or if it was good the way that it was. So we already use this framework in the teaching profession. My observations, my first 2 days I was there, the first day I saw an inner city school come, and the second day I saw a private school come. I noticed that the private school was a lot less engaged. I couldn't come up with one specific reason why, so I threw some ideas out there. I was wondering if maybe the students had already done some of the activities and therefore they were less engaged. Activities like rock climbing or archery, these private schools may have already done or the students done, and they were less engaged in that. So I wonder if there's a little bit of privilege there, whereas the inner city students hadn't really done those things, so it was new to them and they were really excited about it. Um, Maybe that could have been it. Also, some of these activities were really athletic focused, where they had to do a tightrope walk. They had to work as a team to climb over a wall, for example. So they were really athletic focused, and I wonder if that lended itself to why the inner city students were a little bit more engaged rather than the private school students. My set um, my next observation day, I saw an all girls school, which was interesting compared to the other days that I was there witnessing the co-ed schools. The inner city school and the private school were both co-ed, and then I saw an all girls private school. So I noticed that the all girls school was more engaged in the activities. And I have seen this in my phys ed classrooms where girls enjoy cooperative games a lot more than boys. So I was wondering if that's why they were more engaged, just in general. Or I also was wondering if it's because it was one gender and they didn't have to prove anything to the few boys that were in their class. So that could also be it. I wonder if that would cross reference to being the same outcome if it was an all boys school. So that would be something to look at. One of the articles I read talked about making a good impression or what makes a good experience in an outdoor education program. This article spoke specifically about an adventure therapy program where, to improve student engagement, the students developed trust with their instructors, and it helped the students discuss or have therapeutic conversations with those instructors. The students were more willing to engage in risky behavior, um, and they also developed that positive self-concept. If they were willing to go outside the box and challenge themselves, they felt more confident and developed that positive self-concept, which I think is huge in youth nowadays. So I wanted to take this article and implement something in my internship. So what I did was I thought that building a rapport with the students was one thing that I can do. I noticed that at Camp Robin Hood, their activities, they would meet as a big group at the school and then just go boom, boom, boom right into 3 or 4 activities, and the students would go around the camp and just visit random activities. There was no preset or preempt for the day. There was no expectations laid out and stuff. So I wanted to do that. So I ran a little experiment where I followed one group. I met with them at the beginning. I did a little bit of icebreaker. The girls got to know each other. I outlined the purpose of the day. I had the girls pick a goal or a challenge. I gave them all pieces of paper with several goals on them, and they got to pick it. And then we did a debrief at the end. And it actually worked. I noticed that these students, I observed all the groups, but I noticed that the group that I had built that rapport with throughout the day, they were a little bit more engaging of the other students, even the ELL student in the group. They encouraged her to get together, whereas the other groups had a couple of outliers. There were a couple of students that were just off to the side. So it does show building that rapport with the group and with the girls. It helped their engagement in the activities. So my big takeaways from this day, from this whole internship, are listed here. The one big one that I want to point out is number 5. If students are not their basic needs are not being met, they are not going to be engaged in this outdoor education units or programs unless it is that like activity or outdoor education, the therapy program. If the students are running into problems at home and they're concerned about their shelter and well-being and stuff, they're not going to be engaged in an outdoor education program. So what does that look like for inner city schools? Because I know that students that are in there typically have a little bit more problem, and they're the ones that should be outside and should be engaged in the outdoors. So this is something that I might want to look at in the future. So thank you so much for your time, and have a great day, guys.